Good morning. Let's begin our service by singing hymn number 310. Sing, ye joyous children, sing. Glorious is the Christ, our King. Truth has come again to earth through the lowly Savior's birth. Men and angels anthems raise, hymns of joy and shouts of praise. Hear the angelic song again. Peace on earth, goodwill to men. Hymn number 310. The scriptural this morning will be given by Wendy from Georgia.
Good morning. I will read from Revelation. Thou art worthy, O Lord, to receive glory and honor and power, for thou hast created all things, and for thy pleasure they are and were created. Isaiah. Comfort ye, my people, saith your God. The voice of him that crieth in the wilderness, prepare ye the way of the Lord. Make straight in the desert a highway for our God. Every valley shall be exalted, and every mountain and hill shall be made low, and the crooked shall be made straight, and the rough places plain. Behold, the Lord God will come with a strong hand, and his arm shall rule for him. Behold, his reward is with him, and his work before him. He shall feed his flock like a shepherd. He shall gather the lambs with his arm, and carry them in his bosom, and shall gently lead those that are with young. Who hath measured the waters in the hollow of his hand, and meted out heaven with the span, and comprehended the dust of the earth in a measure, and weighed the mountains in scales, and the hills in a balance? Lift up your eyes on high, and behold, who hath created these things, that bringeth out their host by number. He calleth them all by names, by the greatness of his might. For that he is strong in power, not one faileth.
We will now have a moment of silent prayer and follow with the Lord's Prayer and its spiritual interpretation as given in the Christian Science textbook. Our Father, which art in heaven. Our Father, Mother, God, all harmonious. Hallowed be thy name. Adorable One. Thy kingdom come. Thy kingdom is come. Thou art ever present. Thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Enable us to know, as in heaven, so on earth, God is omnipotent, supreme. Give us this day our daily bread. Give us grace for today. Feed the famished affections. And forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And love is reflected in love. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. And God leadeth us not into temptation, but delivereth us from sin, disease, and death. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. For God is infinite, all power, all life, truth, love, over all and all. Let's now sing hymn number 329. The heavens declare the glory of him who made all things. Each day repeats the story. Each night its tribute brings. To earth's remotest border, his mighty power is known. In beauty, grandeur, order, his handiwork is shown. Hymn number 329. Welcome to the Plainfield Christian Science Church Independent. We begin each Sunday morning here at 10 a.m. with our roundtable discussion. And if you missed it this morning, please check it out on our website, plainfieldcs.com. Also on Sunday mornings at 11, we have a Sunday school for children, which is carried on over a telephone via a teleconference feature we provide, so that any child anywhere in the world can attend our Sunday school. On Wednesday evenings at 8:15, we have a testimony meeting where you can hear testimonies of healings and lives saved through the study and practice of Christian Science. Next weekend, being Christmas Eve weekend, we will have two services on Sunday. We will have our regular Sunday morning service, and since Sunday is Christmas Eve, we will have our Christmas Eve service that evening beginning at 8 p.m. And we will do that instead of having a Bible study class on Saturday and instead of having a roundtable discussion that Sunday morning. So there will be no Bible study next Saturday and no roundtable next Sunday morning, but we will have a Christmas Eve service next Sunday evening beginning at 8 p.m. And at all of our services, there will be a nursery for the young ones, the very young ones. You can find us not only here in Plainfield, but also on our website, plainfieldcs.com, our channel on YouTube, and you can find us on SoundCloud, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And you can listen to all of our services either here on our website or on YouTube, or you can also hear via your telephone via a teleconference number that we provide. We have been printing lately, and the January full-text lessons booklet has been printed and mailed. The quarterly for the first quarter has been printed and mailed, and the calendar for 2018 is now available, and many of you have ordered. If you haven't ordered yet, please get your order in. It makes a great gift, by the way. Everyone is welcome here, and that includes all of you who are listening and participating from around the world. And now we will have the reading of a testimony from the chapter entitled Fruitage in Science and Health, which attests to the healing power obtained by studying the Christian Science textbook. And that reading will be given this morning by Shahidat from Maryland.
On page 662, Healed by Reading the Textbook. After doctoring about a year, I was obliged to give up school and was under medical care for 2 years, but grew worse instead of better. I was then taken to specialists who pronounced my case incurable, saying I was in the last stages of kidney disease and could only live a short time. Shortly afterward, my uncle gave me a copy of Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures and asked me to study it. After studying a short time, I was able to walk a distance of several miles, which I had not been able to do for 3 years. I also laid aside glasses which I had worn 7 years, having been told I would become blind if my eyes did not receive proper care. It is over a year since I received God's blessing, and am now enjoying perfect health and happiness. I have never had my glasses on since I first began reading Science and Health, and I have not used any medicine. From L.R. Spring Valley, Minnesota.
The lesson sermon for this morning can be found on page 26 of the Independent Christian Science Quarterly. Subject: Is the universe, including man, evolved by atomic force? The Golden text is from Genesis. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. The responsive reading is from Psalms. The heavens are thine, the earth also is thine. As for the world and the fullness thereof, thou hast founded them. Thou hast a mighty arm. Strong is thy hand, and high is thy right hand. Blessed is the people that know the joyful sound. They shall walk, O Lord, in the light of thy countenance. In thy name shall they rejoice all the day. And in thy righteousness shall they be exalted. For thou art the glory of their strength. God has spoken once, twice have I heard this, that power belongeth unto God. Bruce will read from the Bible.
Isaiah. Thus saith the Lord, which maketh a way in the sea, and a path in the mighty waters. Behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Shall ye not know it? I will even make a way in the wilderness, and rivers in the desert. This people have I formed for myself. They shall show forth my praise. Psalms. Praise ye the Lord. I will praise the Lord with my whole heart. In the assembly of the upright and in the congregation. The works of the Lord are great, sought out of all them that have pleasure therein. His work is honorable and glorious, and his righteousness endureth forever. He hath made his wonderful works to be remembered. He hath showed his people the power of his works, that he may give them the heritage of the heathen. The works of his hands are verity and judgment. All his commandments are sure. They stand fast forever and ever, and are done in truth and uprightness. Joshua. And the men of Gibeon sent unto Joshua to the camp to Gilgal, saying, Slack not thy hand from thy servants. Come up to us quickly, and save us, and help us. For all the kings of the Amorites that dwell in the mountains are gathered together against us. So Joshua ascended from Gilgal, he and all the people of war with him, and all the mighty men of valor. And the Lord said unto Joshua, Fear them not, for I have delivered them into thine hand. And the Lord discomfited them before Israel, and slew them with a great slaughter at Gibeon. And it came to pass, as they fled from before Israel, and were in the going down to Beth-horon, that the Lord cast down great stones from heaven upon them unto Azekah, and they died. They were more which died with hailstones, than they whom the children of Israel slew with the sword. Then spake Joshua to the Lord in the day when the Lord delivered up the Amorites before the children of Israel. And he said in the sight of Israel, Sun, stand thou still upon Gibeon, and thou, moon, in the valley of Ajalon. And the sun stood still, and the moon stayed, until the people had avenged themselves upon their enemies. And there was no day like that before it or after it, that the Lord hearkened unto the voice of a man, for the Lord fought for Israel. Jeremiah. Ah, Lord God, behold, thou hast made the heaven and the earth by thy great power and stretched out arm, and there is nothing too hard for thee. Thou showest loving kindness unto thousands, and recompensest the iniquity of the fathers into their bosom of their children after them. The great, the mighty God, the Lord of hosts is his name. Great in counsel and mighty in work, for thine eyes are open unto all the ways of the sons of men, to give every one according to his ways and according to the fruit of his doings, which has set signs and wonders in the land of Egypt, even unto this day, and in Israel, and among other men, and hast made thee a name as at this day. John. When Jesus then lifted up his eyes and saw a great company come unto him, Jesus therefore perceived that they would take him by force to make him a king. He departed again into a mountain, himself alone. And when even was now come, his disciples went down unto the sea, and entered into a ship, and went over the sea toward Capernaum. And it was now dark, and Jesus was not come to them. And the sea arose by reason of a great wind that blew. So when they had rowed about 25 or 30 furlongs, they see Jesus walking on the sea, and drawing nigh unto the ship. And they were afraid. But he saith unto them, It is I, be not afraid. Then they willingly received him into the ship, and immediately the ship was at the land whither they went. Romans. Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of God. The powers that be are ordained of God. Whosoever therefore resisteth the power, resisteth the ordinance of God. And they that resist shall receive to themselves damnation. For rulers are not a terror to good works, but to the evil. Wilt thou then not be afraid of the power? Do that which is good, and thou shalt have praise of the same. Deuteronomy. And now, Israel, what doth the Lord thy God require of thee, but to fear the Lord thy God, to walk in all his ways, and to love him, and to serve the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul, to keep the commandments of the Lord and his statutes, which I command thee this day for thy good? Behold, the heaven and the heaven of heavens is the Lord's thy God, the earth also, with all that therein is.
Farrelly from Maryland will now read.
Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures by Mary Baker Eddy. Genesis 1. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. The infinite has no beginning. This word beginning is employed to signify the only. That is, the eternal verity and unity of God and man, including the universe. The creative principle, life, truth, and love, is God. The universe reflects God. There is but one creator and one creation. This creation consists of the unfolding of spiritual ideas and their identities, which are embraced in the infinite mind and forever reflected. These ideas range from the infinitesimal to infinity, and the highest ideas are the sons and daughters of God. The universe reflects and expresses the divine substance or mind. Therefore, God is seen only in the spiritual universe and spiritual man, as the sun is seen in the ray of light which goes out from it. God is revealed only in that which reflects life, truth, love, yea, which manifests God's attributes and power, even as the human likeness thrown upon the mirror repeats the color, form, and action of the person in front of the mirror. Moral and spiritual might belong to Spirit, who holds the wind in his fists. And this teaching accords with science and harmony. In science, you have no power opposed to God, and the physical senses must give up their false testimony. Your influence for good depends upon the weight you throw into the right scale. The good you do and embody gives you the only power obtainable. Evil is not power. It is a mockery of strength, which ere long betrays its weakness and falls, never to rise. The scientific fact that man and the universe are evolved from spirit and so are spiritual is as fixed in divine science as is the proof that mortals gain the sense of health only as they lose the sense of sin and disease. Mortals can never understand God's creation while believing that man is a creator. God's children already created will be cognized only as man finds the truth of being. Thus it is that the real ideal man appears in proportion as the false and material disappears. The minutiae of lesser individualities reflect the one divine individuality, and are comprehended in and formed by spirit, not by material sensation. Whatever reflects mind, life, truth, and love is spiritually conceived and brought forth. But the statement that man is conceived and evolves, both spiritually and materially, or by both God and man, contradicts this eternal truth. All the vanity of the ages can never make both these contraries true. Divine science lays the axe at the root of the illusion that life or mind is formed by or is in the material body. And science will eventually destroy this illusion through the self-destruction of all error and the beatified understanding of the science of life. In proportion as matter loses to human sense all entity as man, in that proportion does man become its master. He enters into a diviner sense of the facts and comprehends the theology of Jesus as demonstrated in healing the sick, raising the dead, and walking over the wave. All these deeds manifested Jesus' control over the belief that matter is substance, that it can be the arbiter of life, or the constructor of any form of existence. The universe, like man, is to be interpreted by science from its divine principle, God, and then it can be understood. But when explained on the basis of physical sense and represented as subject to growth, maturity, and decay, the universe, like man, is and must continue to be an enigma. Adhesion, cohesion, and attraction are properties of mind. They belong to divine principle and support the equipoise of that thought force which launched the earth in its orbit and said to the proud wave, "Thus far and no farther." Spirit is the life, substance, and continuity of all things. We tread on forces. Withdraw them, and creation must collapse. Human knowledge calls them forces of matter. But divine science declares that they belong wholly to divine mind, are inherent in this mind, and so restores them to their rightful home and classification. The material so-called gases and forces are counterfeits of the spiritual forces of divine mind, whose potency is truth, whose attraction is love, whose adhesion and cohesion are life, perpetuating the eternal facts of being. Spiritual causation is the one question to be considered. For more than all others, spiritual causation relates to human progress. Mind's control over the universe, including man, is no longer an open question, but is demonstrable science. Jesus illustrated the divine principle and the power of immortal mind by healing sickness and sin and destroying the foundations of death. Mistaking his origin and nature, man believes himself to be combined matter and spirit. He believes that spirit is sifted through matter, carried on a nerve, exposed to ejection by the operation of matter. the intellectual, the moral, the spiritual, yea, the image of infinite mind, subject to non-intelligence? No more sympathy exists between the flesh and spirit than between Belial and Christ. The so-called laws of matter are nothing but false beliefs that intelligence and life are present where mind is not. These false beliefs are the procuring cause of all sin and disease. The opposite truth, that intelligence and life are spiritual, never material, destroys sin, sickness, and death. Are we irreverent towards sin or imputing too much power to God when we ascribe to him almighty life and love? I deny his cooperation with evil because I desire to have no faith in evil or in any power but God good. There is no power apart from God. Omnipotence has all power. And to acknowledge any other power is to dishonor God.
Let us now have a moment of silent prayer for our world. Let's now sing hymn number 56. Father, thou joy of loving hearts, thou fount of life, thou light of men, from all the best that earth imparts, we turn unfilled to thee again. Hymn number 56.
comfort ye. Comfort ye, my people. Comfort ye. Comfort ye, my people. Saith your God, saith your God. Speak ye comfortably to Jerusalem. Speak ye comfortably to Jerusalem, and cry unto her that her warfare, is accomplished, that her iniquity is pardoned, that her iniquity is pardoned. The voice of him that crieth in the wilderness, prepare ye the way of the Lord, make straight in the desert a highway for our God. Every valley, shall be exalted, shall be exalted, shall be exalted, shall be exalted, and every mountain and hill made low, the crooked straight, and the rough places plain, the crooked straight, and rough places plain. the crooked straight, the crooked straight, the crooked straight, and the rough places plain, and the rough places plain, and the rough places plain. The crooked straight, and the rough places plain.
So how do we follow that? By singing hymn number 362. To us a child of hope is born, to us a son is given. Him shall the tribes of earth obey, and all the hosts of heaven. Hymn number 362.
I will read from the Christian Science textbook, the Scientific Statement of Being, and the correlative passages from 1 John, 3rd chapter. There is no life, truth, intelligence, nor substance in matter. All is infinite mind, and its infinite manifestation, for God is all in all. Spirit is immortal truth, Matter is mortal error. Spirit is the real and eternal. Matter is the unreal and temporal. Spirit is God, and man is his image and likeness. Therefore, man is not material, he is spiritual. Behold, what manner of love the Father hath bestowed upon us, that we should be called the sons of God. Therefore the world knoweth us not, because it knew him not. Beloved, now are we the sons of God, and it doth not yet appear what we shall be. But we know that when he shall appear, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is. And every man that hath this hope in him purifieth himself, even as he is pure. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you. Not as the world giveth, I give I unto you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. Amen.